Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another episode of the Goodcast Show. So today I have with me a very prominent and seasoned Malaysian politician and a senior leader of Perikatan Nasional. He has had an extensive career in public service. He's held various key ministerial portfolios, including Malaysia's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Minister of Communications and Multimedia. He's known for his thoughtful perspectives on governance, education, and nation building, all of which we'll be touching on today. He has been actively involved in shaping policies and championing reforms. He joins us today as the Pengerusi Portfolio Pendidikan Perikatan Nasional and, more importantly, as the Ahli Parlimen of Indra Mahkota. In today's interview, we'll be delving into his speech that he had given just today at Parliament, which basically is his proposal called Pembaikan Sistem Pendidikan Negara, along with his views of RMK 13 and nation building. It is my great honor and pleasure to welcome one of my favorite politicians from the Perikatan Nasional bloc, Yang Berhormat Dato Sri Saifuddin Abdullah. Dato, how are you, Dato?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And a big shout out to our mutual acquaintance, Haris, the Ketua Armada Bersatu, who actually connected us. Thank you, buddy. So let's discuss the Plan Pembangunan Pendidikan Negara, which has 5 primary components. The first one being Pemikiran, Falsafah dan Dasar. So very interestingly, your plan involves decolonization and de-westernization of our education system. So I'm just curious, Dato Sri, what are the elements in our education that has relics from our colonial past and our Western biases?
Okay, the thing is this, but before that, the basis of my speech today is our document, which is the Cadangan Reformasi Pendidikan, our proposal for education reform. But of course, the theme is towards a proper correction or improvement of our national education system. Now, when I speak about decolonization and de-westernization, it goes side by side with Islamization and integration of knowledge. These are the two major thoughts being discussed within our education fraternity. So on the one hand, there is this call for Islamization, or now they use the term integration of knowledge. The premise, this is premised on the fact that we were colonized and many of our education philosophies are based on what was once the West.
Yes.
On the other side is decolonization and de-westernization. This is the same story actually, trying to free ourselves from Western thoughts. Now, why are we discussing these two? Number one, it complements each other. But more importantly, number two, it's about time that we have to come up with our own mold. Remember wawasan 2020?
Yes, of course.
Acuan sendiri. So what is the acuan sendiri? What is our education system? You see, I went to Malay College. It's a boarding school based on English boarding school.
Correct.
So it is a replication of Eton. So we call ourselves Eton of the East.
Okay.
Yeah, but well, after 100 years, surely Malay College can try to mold itself into a Malaysian kind of boarding school. Well, I'm not saying we are not doing that, but what about the other boarding schools? What about the whole system? Not only it is westernized in a certain way, it's even more shallow because it's actually English Saxon. So it's westernized, it's English Saxon, but we are Malaysian. You know, we come from different culture and with lots of Eastern tradition.
Interesting you say that, but before we get to that, of course, under the first component, Pemikiran, Falsafah and Dasar, one of the things you say is Islamisasi ilmu dan integrasi ilmu, right? Of course, when a non-Muslim hears this, they will run for the hills.
Okay.
So what does Islamization of our education look like?
All right. The term that is now normally used is integration. Okay. This starts in the 70s.
Okay.
Not only in Malaysia, worldwide, because Muslim scholars and Muslim activists started thinking about how do we get back to Islam? Now, fear me not, this is not Taliban. This is about fundamental, and not the fundamentalist, the Western version of it.
Okay.
It is the real, true Islam, which is modern, which is progressive, which is scientific. So we are not talking about people wearing kufiya. No, those are not the substance. The substance is, remember, there was the time when we have the so-called golden age of Islam.
Yeah, the Renaissance period.
Yeah, the Renaissance, the Islamic Renaissance, Muslims and non-Muslim, Jews and Christian, we were living side by side. There was real peaceful coexistence, and we were successful in many ways. And we were doing a lot of sharing. So this is not the Taliban version or the Iranian version. I mean, I don't like using that, but to make people understand.
Yeah,
this is
not
really
fundamentalism.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It is real, modern, progressive Islamic culture, and again, it's very important.
So
that in Malaysia, it has to be the Malaysian version of it.
So what you're essentially saying is that you want to introduce an education system that is based on Islamic principles.
Yes.
Not
Which does not scare non-Muslim. Okay, I give an example. I've met some parents who are non-Muslim and non-Malay who don't like to send their kids to sekolah kebangsaan for fear that sekolah kebangsaan has become sekolah agama.
Yes.
I don't blame them. Yeah, they have certain perception, and some of us are to be blamed for giving the wrong perception. Now we need to address that issue. Sekolah kebangsaan has to be sekolah kebangsaan. You shouldn't be afraid of sending your kids to sekolah kebangsaan, because this is not, a religious missionary school that will convert your kids. But why the perception? Because of certain incidences in the past, which were really uncalled for. Some people were probably overzealous in trying to uphold Islam. Not that I blame them, but there are ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And that is why one of the feature of Islam is actually moderation.
Yes, it is. It
Yes,
is. It is.
yes.
A lot of people don't know this. Yes, it is. So I want to go to the follow-up. Basically, in your speech, you said, pokoknya, PN sedang membangun sistem pendidikan Manhaj Malaysia.
Manhaj means method. Yeah,
So,
acuan.
acuan. So for the sake of people watching, let me just let me try at defining this. Dato,
right.
please correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
So the system pendidikan Manhaj is an Islamic education system that focuses on integrating modern academic knowledge with traditional Islamic teachings, values, and methodologies. So the term Manhaj, according to them, means methodology or approach in Arabic. Am I right, Dato Sri?
Yes, approach.
Are you
yes.
proud of me? There we go. Gold star for me.
Steady, man.
So
Not bad.
So the system emphasizes these 5 things. Number 1, Quranic and Sunnah-based learning, which is curriculum grounded in the teachings of Quran and Hadith. Number 2, holistic development, covering intellectual, spiritual, moral, and social aspects of students' growth. Number 3, integration of modern education, which is balancing religious studies with contemporary subjects like science, math, language. Character building, prioritizing ethics and good conduct. And bilingual or trilingual approach, which involves instruction in Arabic, English, and the local language Malay. Am I right in those 5 tenets?
Not necessarily the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, a sistem pendidikan Manhaj Malaysia is actually, okay, look at sekolah kebangsaan.
Okay.
All right. You want a sekolah kebangsaan that is friendly to all ethnic groups,
Yeah.
to people from all religion. A sekolah kebangsaan, well, later we talk about the curriculum, but when it comes to languages, that offer all kinds of languages, all right, that will offer Islamic teaching to the Muslim student. For the non-Muslim, you can, like the current situation, you can ask for certain subjects, whether it is moral or ethics, or we can discuss whether you want to offer religion. You see,
That's amazing, Dato Sri. Are you saying that you're open to that?
I'm open to that
Oh, that's fantastic.
because what does the Constitution say? Islam is the official religion, and all other religions are free to be practiced peacefully and harmoniously. So, I mean, these are things that we need to discuss.
Definitely.
So,
Now, the fact that you're
I
saying that
always-
is amazing.
yeah, I always believe that every Malaysian, regardless of creed and background, the more religious you become, the better person you are. So why stop people learning their religion?
Exactly.
So,
Fantastic.
so the problem is when Muslim you have to learn Islam, but Hindus and Buddhists and Christian you learn moral, and you are saying this is not mine. Now you are saying and so you blame sekolah kebangsaan. So sekolah kebangsaan must be friendly to people of all creed, and you offer all kinds of things that is naturally accepted by people. The details we have to discuss, but definitely not a sekolah kebangsaan that non-Malays and non-Muslim will see or will perceive as, oh, this is so Malay and this is so Muslim. Shouldn't be like that.
No, I mean, sorry to
Yeah.
stick to this point because I think it's a very monumental point you've made, because the non-Malay, fear of PN is that if I vote you, then that will welcome in the green wave. It's like the floodgates will open. But what you're saying now is very different. You're saying you are inclusive and you are open to discussing other religions being taught in Sekolah Kebangsaan. That's amazing, Dato Sri. Why haven't you all said it earlier?
You see, the thing is this. When you look at the Constitution, I always have this problem when some people, they look at the Constitution as the kitab.
Yeah.
I mean, this is our Bible,
Yeah.
all right? But then the application of the Constitution is like restricted. Dekat sekolah tak boleh lah. You know, dekat pejabat kerajaan tak boleh lah. No. There are certain ways of doing it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Dato
If
Sri.
you know how to do it. I mean, Islam in the past, the tradition in the past, look at the story of Bosnia before the war. Yeah, look at the story of many Western cities.
Yeah.
In the what do you call this? I can slip my mind, but people were living side by side, and universities of the past. They got students from all religions, and everybody were welcome.
Fantastic. Another part of this component, one last one before we go to the second component, is the term model Rasulullah.
Oh, okay.
Which, again, let me try my hat at this, Dato Sri, since I did so well the first time. Which basically is divided into three, for those of you who are watching. It's prophetic leadership model, which emphasizes servant leadership, humility, fairness, and consultation, which I agree, used in Islamic leadership training, focusing on how the Rasulullah led with compassion and justice. Number two, prophetic education model, which is a method based on how Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, educated his companions through practical example, wisdom, and gradual learning. Again, fantastic. Highlights moral development, spiritual growth, and knowledge acquisition, which is what you were talking about exactly,
Yeah.
right? Acquiring knowledge in schools. And last but not least, lifestyle models, which encourages Muslims to emulate the Prophet's personal habits, ethics, and interactions, integrating values such as honesty, patience, generosity, and empathy in daily life. Loved it.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well,
five stars.
basically trying to interpret and replicate what the Prophet Muhammad did when he was in Medina. Remember the Sahifah Madinah, the constitution, the first ever written constitution, where he was very inclusive. And he actually guaranteed the Christians and the Jews with safety and security. And they were living peacefully and harmoniously. But the idea of the model Rasulullah is actually in the context of curriculum design, meaning to say, another way of defining it would be trying to produce good men rather than just good worker. That's the other way of interpreting.
Something that I think Pak Allah was trying to do as well.
He was. The Islam Hadari was to a certain extent trying to do that.
Yeah. Now, but again, this model, I'm just wondering, when I look especially the last part, the lifestyle model, and integrating values such as honesty, patience, generosity, and empathy, I love that. That's of course very important. But wouldn't that mean that Perikatan Nasional would then have to somehow integrate combating racism and integrating an inclusive mentality in the students?
Exactly. We need to do that. I mean, there's no way the Prophet was a racist. He was very, very inclusive. And Perikatan Nasional cannot uphold in whatever form any elements of racism. Yes, Bersatu is a nationalist party, but we are also an inclusive party. We have a proper sayap or wing allocated for non-Malays and PAS have non-Muslim members. Of course, this is a small step, but we have to do more. We have to do more, and we have to be really all-encompassing and embracing. You see, we really have to interpret and live the meaning of peaceful coexistence. I have an argument even when I was in the cabinet, when those days we were coming up with Dasar Perpaduan. And there was this debate on the term tolerance. I thought tolerance is something that we were using maybe 20 years ago. We should now be talking about celebration of the other, rather than I tolerate you lah. I don't really like you lah. But I tolerate you.
No, exactly, I agree.
We should have moved to a certain level where I like you, because you are my fellow brothers, fellow citizen. So the word ta'aruf in Arabic, which many Muslim scholars use, but depending on how you interpret it, is actually about celebrating the other. It's not like, Hayya, you ada sini kah? No, cannot be. It has to be, I like you. You're just like my brother. The only thing is, okay, you're not a Muslim. But so what? Yeah.
But, okay, Dato Sri, I have to ask this question because, again, I love what I'm listening to. I mean, I don't know why you guys don't say it more louder all the time. It
I've been saying this all the time.
But then again, when you sort of put that beside what some of the rhetoric coming out of PAS, like saying, using terms like kunut nazila and then saying that God it's haram for non-Muslim to govern over Muslim. How do you reconcile both these very different views?
We are trying very hard to navigate everyone in Perikatan Nasional to move to the center. Our political idealism should be based on wasatiyah, moderation.
Okay.
Which means to say on the scale of 1, which is left, and 10 to the right. I know it's very difficult to be at number 5, but we should try and settle down at probably 6 or 7. So depending on how you look at PAS and Bersatu, whether we are number 9 or we are number 8, but I think we have to work to move to the center as much as possible. For 2 reasons. Number 1, that's what Islam is all about. Number 2, in any given country, it is always the center that matters.
Yes.
The silent majority is about the center. The majority is really the center.
Yes.
So even if you want to win election, it's about the center.
Yes.
So number 1 is about the religion, which is actually quite centrist. I'm saying quite because otherwise people would think that I'm going to go at number 5, which I know is going to be difficult, to be very practical. But number 2, even if you want to win election, you have to go to the center.
That's where most people are, the masses are.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's go to the second component of your proposal or your recommendation, which encompasses aliran sistem dan co-curriculum. So among the tenets of the second component is memperkukuh kurikulum supaya menumpu kepada perkara-perkara yang benar-benar fundamental mengikut keperluan sebenar. So I want to ask your opinion, Dato Sri, what are the fundamental flaws that you see in our current co-curriculum system?
It's too heavy.
Too heavy.
Too many subjects. I believe in a school system that doesn't have to give homework. And
really? Why so, Dato Sri?
No classes on Saturday and Sunday.
That I agree. I want to spend time with my kids.
No, teachers have families too.
Yeah.
Now, homework I don't think is something that we should carry on with, because if you look at those advanced countries, education systems that are in the top notch of the PISA and TIMSS rating, very little homework. It's all classwork. Well, probably you don't ban homework. Once in a while, you have to bring some work home and you get to do some project, which is fair. It's like turning your house into another class. And I don't think that is something useful. And we are doing a lot of this, and yet our ranking is not that very high.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, of course, some people will argue, what about Singapore and China? They do lots of homework and their ranking is high. This is again why we should come up with our own Achuan.
Yes, correct.
Look at Finland, look at the Scandinavian countries, look at Australia. They don't do lots of homework. There are homework, but very minimal.
Correct. Yeah. And what do you recommend that the vacuum that it will create? Say, for example, if you limit the amount of homework or say no, what should a student fill that time with?
Okay, the thing is this. I'm happy with the fact that RMK 13 talks about making mandatory preschool mandatory, and then you bring down the age of entering standard 1 to 6 years old. There is this thing about the certain age where your brain grow at the fastest rate. Educationists will tell you this is the time when you throw anything to the kid, they will be able to swallow it. I mean, not literally, but they will be able to manage it.
Yeah.
Even adults cannot understand why. Yeah. So we really have to understand and practice the fact that at certain level it is foundation. So preschool until maybe year 3 of primary school is really foundation. This is where you really teach them language, reading and writing and mathematics. And this is also the time when you introduce languages. Yeah, I'm a pro trilingual in class or in school rather than just two, say Malay English or Malay Chinese or Malay Tamil. I'm for three language.
Yeah.
That when the children leave primary school, you master one, but you are able to do at least two more.
Yeah.
All right. So that is foundational. We must ensure that the moment someone leaves primary school, no more story about not being able to read and write. Yeah. So by the time they go to secondary school, this is the time when you actually nurture them with the real subjects and disciplines. Yeah. And remember, primary school has to be fun. Yeah. They must enjoy.
As you say in your speech, kids should be kids.
Yeah, kids has to be kids.
Yeah.
You know, so we need to balance that. You know, and the streaming, whether you want to go science or those are things that we can discuss later. But we really have to give a lot of option to students and parents as and when they are in secondary school.
So since you have taken the conversation there, Dato Sri, then let's go to this. Let's look at what you think about the latest announcements that have come out of the government in conjunction with RMK 13. Mm-hmm. Of course, one of it that you've talked about is a mandatory preschool at 5 years old, standard 1 at 6 years old, right? But of course, one of the more sensational ones was that jail time and a fine for parents who don't ensure their child completes secondary education. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
My take is this. Every time you formulate law, there is always the punishment part of it. But I doubt it if the government will really want to go that way.
Okay, so it's just say it's...
Well, if you challenge, then you probably get into some kind of trouble. But I don't think any government will really want to do that. Yeah.
But is this the step in the right direction? Because a lot of people seem to like it. You know, even for me, when I've spoken to teachers and all that, some of them do tell me that the biggest problem is the parents are not involved in the child's education. They're not pushing the kids.
Well, I believe the government, the current government, I hope they will do that. I mean, if we are in government, we will do this. I mean, we really have to create awareness. To a certain extent, perhaps educate people. There's something in the culture about our learning system, you know, that school is very formal. Well, at least now we have less public exam, which is a good thing. Yeah, but we need to understand that going to school is part of learning, and learning is actually lifelong. And you have to have a system where people can actually do sabbatical. I know this is not going to be very popular, but we have to be, there are certain things that needs to be structured, but there are certain things that may require some kind of flexibility.
Okay. So you are for it, but you don't think that it's going to be enforced.
Well, it will be enforced if
Somebody really pushes pokes the bear.
but I don't think it is really the intention
Okay.
to punish parents. And I don't think parents, by definition, would really don't send kids to school.
Another one is recently, I think, was it today or yesterday? I can't remember. But every housing project with over 3,500 homes must come with a Tadika primary and secondary school. What do you think, Dato
I
Sri?
thought that is laudable. I remember when I was minister in charge of communication, we suggested, there was a cabinet decision that every new township, before you allow the developer to start working, in the master plan, those days, we say, you must tell us where, how do you want to, where you want to allow telcos to fix their lines and their, towers. Because the problem those days was, new townships are ready, but suddenly you kena korek sana sini because you have to. So now it's good that you make it a point that any developer, you want to start a new place, surely there are new people, new houses. There must be schools. There must be kindergarten, which is I thought it's laudable.
It seems like the RMK 13 now is putting a greater emphasis on education.
A lot of emphasis.
What is your entire view of that?
Well, it's a good thing. Implementation is another.
Yeah, it's always been.
I have a problem, for instance. I work well with both ministers, Fadina and Zamri. You see, both are working on their own 10-year blueprint. So you have blueprint for the schools and you have blueprint for universities. When we are in government, there will be only one blueprint. Because you need to have, proper cohesiveness in the thoughts, in the planning and the implementation and the evaluation of things. So once you have two, I know that there are two different teams working on two different blueprints, and I understand that you will have Majlis Pendidikan Negara where you want to integrate, but I won't say that's not the way to do it, but I thought a better way to do it is to have one blueprint.
Let's just go back to your speech, Dato Sri. In your second component, you say that we have 1,398 TVET institutions. Now, PMX, in his tabling of RMK 13, was very happy with the growth of the TVET industry. He was saying it was, we are the government with the most number of admissions and all that. But you seem to say that indicate that there are clashes and wastages. So what are the gaps in the TVET industry that you are noticing?
There are a couple of things. Number one, you see, what happened in the TVET institution is this. We started with one or two ministry having their TVET institution, and then other ministries started to have their own, and then you have duplication here and there. I'll give you an example. On the ground, in almost every district, you will have community colleges.
Okay.
In almost every district, you will have Giat Mara. Look at the curriculum.
The same.
Sometimes it's the same. All right. And you have Giat Mara housed in shop lots. You have college community, probably better infrastructure. And I know both of them, and I thought, why can't we reorganize things? Okay. You see, TVET is expensive when it comes to equipments. Training equipments, there are labs and things like that, and surely you can do it in a better way, in a more cost effective way. And then what about the instructors? Imagine MOTEC governing only two TVET institutions. Imagine the career path of the instructors in the MOTEC institution. Okay. One. I have asked, and I found out that there are two kinds of services. One is called open, one is closed. So if you are in a closed service and you are an instructor, and that ministry has not more than a dozen institutions, imagine how do you, what kind of ladder your career path is. So I thought the polytechnics and the college community probably have one of the better models. I'm not saying everybody has to follow the same model, but then you set a certain standard and then you ask everybody, try to fulfill the standard. If you cannot, then can you not then, merge into... To me, in a nutshell, 12 ministries, 1,300
98
TVET institute for a population of 34 million is something like having like 13 telcos. It's not economical.
Yeah, that is where it says that. So another interesting thing in your speech was you say that you have asked the government to answer 7 of your questions on PLKN 3.0. Now, PLKN is a close topic to my heart because I saw my brother, it was funny in the family group. But what were those questions that you asked the government about PLKN?
Well, I may not be able to remember everything, but okay, number one, since Najib's time, when he was Menteri Pertahanan and he was asked to do PLKN 1.0, we are still in the pilot stage. How many years already? Yeah, still pilot. Even if you don't say it's pilot, it's still 100,000 out of how many 100,000? We should have done like for everybody already. Yeah. So that's the first question mark. Number 2, look at the curriculum, look at the course content. It's neither national service nor uniform body, This was there in PLK in version 1 and version 2. We spend a lot of money. Now the minister answered by saying, now per capita is less than what it was. But it's not just about per capita.
Yeah.
It's about the how efficient it is.
The outcomes of it.
The outcome. And the outcomes through the 2 reports that we have seen is that it's very nominal. So if it is only nominal, then why not you strengthen some of the other, say, the uniform activities in schools? Uniform activities in schools don't have money. They don't have enough money. Kementerian Belia dan Sukan don't have enough money for their activities. So why spend money on PLKN 3.0 when you know that PLKN 1.0 and 2.0 were not that effective compared to the money spent? And again, why are we still in pilot stage? How many years already?
Should we abolish it?
I think we should abolish it. And whatever money that has already been, some people may have won certain tenders, you can always say, keep the money, but use it in schools.
Correct, exactly.
I'm not saying if you won the tender, you got the uniform, blah, blah, blah. Never mind, we're not going to tarik balik. Use the money, but we rechannel it to
schools
and universities rather than PLKN. Yeah,
I'm completely. I don't understand the purpose of PLKN. I never did. Yeah. So the third component is, of course, a very crucial one, which is sumber manusia. Mm-hmm. And I think if you look at the global trends in education, sumber manusia is sort of like one of the factors that differentiates good education system and all that. So let me just read out the 3 ones. Number 1 is meningkatkan mutu skim perkhidmatan dan penghakupayaan pensyarah dan guru, termasuk menandangi isu guru-guru yang bersara awal, meningkatkan kebebasan akademik dan peranan intelektual awam, and lastly, memperbanyakkan jumlah dana penyelidikan dan memperbaiki penyelarasan pengurusan dana ini di kalangan kementerian atau agensi berkaitan. But one thing, Dato Sri, that wasn't there, which I was surprised, is teacher salary. So on average,
that's the scheme of service.
Oh, okay. It's included there. Okay, so that means you are planning to increase the salary.
I think we have to.
Yeah.
How we have to find the money.
Yeah.
Because I don't think our teachers are paid well.
No, we are not. In fact, we are paid lower than the ASEAN regional average, which is terrible.
Exactly.
Okay, you told me that.
They are like the most important instructor.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the whole country. And, it's just like we are not paying our doctors well, we are not paying our teachers well. So we really have to look at the whole scheme of service.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I may sound very ambitious, but what choice have we got?
Yeah.
I mean, they are training your kids,
Yeah.
and you are not paying them well. I'm not saying that. I mean, I know many teachers. Both my parents were teachers. Money is not the reason why they enter into the profession, but be fair.
Yeah, and you have to show that you appreciate them if they're going to perform
Exactly.
better. And in fact, there was
Exactly.
one guy who's the executive director of this NGO called Pemimpin,
Mm-hmm.
and he was telling me, he used a very nice line. He said, teachers are the enforcers of policy.
Exactly.
Whatever policy you make in the policy room, they are the ones who is implementing it.
Exactly.
So, but one interesting thing you said was you wanted more academic independence. Why?
You see, I'm a big fan of autonomous. Yeah.
Okay.
You need to give some kind of autonomous to schools to decide on certain things. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
It's like almost every time a teacher or a coach wants to take out children for a basketball competition, you have to have the permission of the Pegawai Pendidikan Daerah. And surely you have certain template where you need to follow certain rules and regulations, certain procedures. And so long as you do that, the headmaster should be given allowance to make decisions. Yeah, you have to sign contract, you have to do insurance and things like that. By all means, do that. But don't tell me even for the smallest decision, you need to go upstairs to seek permission. I think that is not the way to do it.
But is this the right time to that street? Because we are seeing a lot of issues, minor issues though, like flag, disrespect to the flag. I think was it late last year, we had that issue where there was a bunch of students who were doing this tribute to Palestine in school and all that. Do you think these institutions at this point deserve this independence? Because they seem to, not really use it well.
Of course, independence and autonomous is not about overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to prepare people. I mean, for instance, this creature called libat urus,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
which to my mind, I prefer to use consultation. But different people have different definition of consultation. For them, I write you a letter and informing you that tomorrow there will be tomorrow we will do this and that. That to me is a consultation. No, that's not consultation. That's just informing you. Sometimes people do consultation in a certain way, but what actually happened is tokenism or window dressing or sometimes outright manipulation. So likewise, independence and autonomous, there are certain definition, there are certain meaning, there are certain ways of doing it. We need to make people aware that there is such thing called independence, but there are ways of doing it.
Now to your fourth component, which is penghakupayaan dan kebolehpasan pelajar. I love this component, by the way, because I think it's so important, so important. Now, before this, I just want to read a headline that read that graduates not job ready as universities lag behind industry shifts. Parent Action Group for Education, PAGE Chairman Datin Nur Azima, cited a lack of practical training, poor English, and weak early education as key factors behind the skills mismatch. So your proposal, Dato Sri, is actually saying that you want to evaluate the mismatch to address the gulf between the classroom and the workplace. What is the solution to bridge this gap, Dato Sri?
One of the things that we have not done in the past is getting the student involved in decision making.
Please elaborate, Dato Sri.
Well, there are the people that really matters is the student.
Okay.
And they are the least consulted. Imagine that. And then you blame them for being lazy, you blame them for not being able to be a good worker and blah, blah, blah. Now, I think we have to relook at the whole situation, bring them into the discourse, bring them into governance, and then we sit down and look at things. Now, number 2, universities and schools have to be more proactive, more update with current situation. Now, I like the idea that I can't say into detail, but I have seen the proposal by Zamri Kadir in the higher education blueprint. that universities will be allowed to be more autonomous in deciding and offering certain subjects. So he is talking about allowing universities some leeway so that they can be faster in making decision as to what courses to be offered. One of the problems that we face is the MQA. I like the MQA because they're very systematic, but one of the problem with MQA is that sometimes they take too long to decide to allow a university to start a new course.
Yeah.
So I think Zamri is looking at ways how in certain courses you just have to be able to do it as quickly as possible because you need to keep up with the time. Otherwise, what Azimah is saying will continue to be there. Then we seem to be slow in providing the kind of
workforce that we need.
Yeah.
Now let's go to your fifth component, perundangan dana dan governance. One of it that really stood out for me was you say that you want to provide a creative tax incentive to the alumni. Please explain that to us.
Okay.
What is this?
All right. There are some schools which are considered premier.
Okay.
St. John, VI, Convent Bukit Nanas, some of the boarding school like MCKK, Star, Sedar, TKC. All right. Look at the alumni.
Fantastic alumni they have.
Yes. Imagine if you give some kind of tax incentive to them to give back. So part of the money that is supposed to be given to these schools can be allocated elsewhere. Yeah. Allow them that freedom to give back to the school. Yeah. And I'm sure they can because I've seen many alumni. In spite of not having tax incentive, they're still giving back. So imagine if you have this kind of system where they will give back. But there's another point that I was trying to make this morning, but I don't have time to actually explain. Do you know exactly if there are, let's say we have 100 million to spend for the school, what is the most appropriate percentage for preschool, primary school, lower secondary, upper secondary?
I think you were talking about doing more research and collecting data, right?
Yeah, we have to find ways. Look at the more advanced countries. Out of the 100 million, how much is allocated for each stages of schooling? Now, this is very important because this will be like the compass. So every year when you do your budget, you must follow through because there is a reason why it is 10 million here and there is a reason why it is 30 million here and why it's not 35. Because there are certain objectives that you want to achieve. So that you don't simply spend money. Oh, because the higher education minister is better at lobbying, he gets more money. The minister in charge of schools is not so good at lobbying and she is probably not as senior as the other minister. I'm not saying that this happens.
What are you hinting at, Dato Sri?
No. All I'm trying to say is we need to have a proper understanding.
Yeah.
Because this go a long way. For instance, do the most senior teachers in standard 1 or in standard 6?
Good question, yeah.
See, some advanced country, the most senior teacher doesn't mean that he or she will only teach at year 6. He or she may actually teach at, year 1 or year 2. When I was in University Malaya, I was a student of this great professor, Kuki Kim.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
And you think Kuki Kim will teach only postgraduate student and final year student? No. Every year he teach first year student because he believes that professors should go down and teach students from the foundation stage, which is your first year in university. And under his leadership, the history department those days make sure that the most senior professors teach people or students at the first year. Of course, you teach in the final year. Of course, you teach postgraduate student. You do you supervise PhD students and master students. Yes, of course, you are expected to do that. But you are also expected to teach the younger ones.
What do you think about this mentality that I think Malaysia has? Like even you mentioned about it in budget, right? We always focus on how much budget to allocate. But now when we look at the stats, things like 1 in 4 kids can't read Malay and English or what, right? Shouldn't we change it to more, should MOE be more outcome based in terms of evaluating the performance of a school? So for instance, if a school cannot have students that even at standard 6 cannot read, there must be some sort of punishment to them to ensure that they stay in line. I mean, how do we address the problem of Malaysian kids cannot read? I mean, that just blows my mind.
I think the main reason is because, as we were discussing earlier, our content, the curriculum is so heavy loaded with subjects and topics that teachers are forced to finish the syllabus before the end of the year. And somehow some students are underserved in the sense that they are probably not taught very well. And then here is the question of teaching techniques. I have seen teachers teaching English in class A using the same technique, and then when he or she teaches in class F using the same technique. I'm sure the teacher will be well equipped if we train him or her well, so that there are different techniques for different types of different classes. Those are things we have to go into. So we have to spend more time and more resources in teacher training, making sure that the teachers are well trained, and so that we can have better outcomes.
There is one part of this in your fifth component, which I think is a bit tongue-in-cheek. I think you just take a swipe at certain things where you say that you criticize the fact that from 2020 to July 2025, we've had 5 Ketua Pengarah Pendidikan Malaysia.
You see, this is the thing. I believe leadership is not everything. I believe in teamwork, but you still need a leader.
Good leader, yeah.
But I don't understand why. Well, let's put it in a more positive manner.
Yes.
We should have a succession plan where, the Ketua Pengarah Pendidikan Malaysia should at least be there, serve for. I'm not questioning qualification. They're all qualified people. They are good people, no doubt about it. But if he or she is allowed 1 year,
what change can she bring? Yeah, what can she do?
What can she really do? Yeah, it's not fair for her. It's not fair for the whole ministry. It's not fair for the whole nation. So let's be honest about it, that 3 years is about the right time for someone to helm certain organization. So let's have a proper succession plan. Oh, but there are people who, are going to be retired. No. Find ways to what they call, to balas jasa, or remember during Najib's time, he introduced the Guru Cemarilang scheme where for you to get better grades, for you to be promoted to better grades, you don't have to be Guru Besar. Because there are teachers who love teaching and don't like administration work.
Yeah.
So he or she can have the same pay, same grade with the Guru Besar or the pengetua of the school. He started with 9, I remember. I know a few of them. The first batch, 9 Guru Cemerlang. They were excellent teachers. They don't want to become headmasters or pengetua because they just love teaching. And they were good teachers.
Now, of course, one of the things that you talk about is nation building, and I thought we could touch on that because, I love the fact that this proposal, and I enjoyed reading it, and I hope a lot of it comes to fruition. But is nation building in Perikatan Nasional's plans?
Well, it is.
In what form?
Okay. I think we have to start by looking at the fact that we are a multiracial, multi-religious country. Yeah. And we used to be very successful. Yeah. We used to be one of the Asian tigers. Yeah. So we have to inspect and investigate where do we go wrong in the past 1 or 2 decades. Yeah. And then we have to, well, depending on how you look at it, some people say you need to reset. Some people say you need to re-engineer. I'm okay with all those terms, but we have to go back to the drawing board. Look at our real strength and where are our weaknesses. And we have to ask the hard questions. Say, for instance, politics. The problem with our politics, number one, is it's all about survivalism. Number two, sometimes it's too racial. And number three, do you notice that our politics is really very personality oriented
Now it's become, definitely.
rather than policy oriented?
Oh, yes.
Look at the quality of debates in parliament. How many MPs really come up and talk policies? Yeah, we are very good at shouting at each other. No joke. Yes. I mean, sometimes it's fun.
It is. I do enjoy it. I can't lie.
No. I mean, no problem. We are good friends, But
I do miss YB Pasir Salah.
but we need more. We need more policies.
Definitely.
Yeah. So if we can do that, and we still have time before it's too late. So yeah.
But you once famously said that Bersatu can no longer rely on frustrated voters. So in this coming general elections, what is Bersatu's strategy? I mean, are you all still going to be very Malay-centric, or are you all now opening up your arms a bit for everyone? I mean, what's your strategy, Monica?
Well, two things. Number one, I spoke about we must understand that this is a multiracial, multi-religious. So yes, we are nationalist, Malay Bumi Putra Party, but we have to be very, very inclusive. Inclusive in the real sense of the word. Democratic and moderate and things like that. Number two, we have to start offering policies. And that's the reason why I thought today, I don't say this was my best speech, but I thought this is one of my most important speeches, because this is really telling the world this is what we think about education. And I believe if we are in Putrajaya, we should be able to hit the ground running. I mean, easier said than done, of course. But at least we have something about education. And if you look at Hamza's speech on Monday, the last part of his speech, he talks about growing the economic cake. So he was already giving some kind of an overview of the kind of economic framework that Perikatan Nasional would like to promote. So the idea is this. Number one, you can't go and win elections simply based on the gelombang.
Yeah.
Number one, the gelombang may not be there. Number two, even if the gelombang is there, the wave is there, it may not be sufficient. What if the opponent suddenly know how to handle the gelombang? The wave is not there. You won't win election. So you want people to vote for you, not because they hate the other, but you also want them to vote for you because they like you. And how do they like you? They can only like you when they know what you have to offer, like in education, in economy, and things like that. So it is a struggle. It's not easy when you're in the opposition. You don't have the facts. You don't have all the data. I mean, not the fact. You have the fact, but you don't have the statistic. You don't have the numbers. But you still have to come up with something. Minimum is detailed motherhood statement. Now, I must qualify why do I say detailed, because manifestos are normally motherhood statement. It's like a liner here and a liner there. I don't think that is sufficient. I think you have to do more than just one line. It could have to probably a pager of a certain thing that people can really assess. And you can query me like, what is this? What is this? What do you mean by this? Rather than just, we need a better education system. Everybody can say that. But what do you actually mean by a better education?
What are the pillars?
What are the pillars? So we are saying, okay, there are 5 components. Of course, it's not exhaustive, but at least we are trying to come up with something.
Do you think that education and politics should be separate? Because I have interviewed people from the education field who sometimes do bring up the concern that every time there's a new government, new minister, there are changes, and the teachers are running around trying to make things, trying to sort of like connect the ends. So do you think education should be separate from politics?
Not only education, in every sector of our life, I wouldn't say it has to be separated from politics. That's probably something almost impossible. What is most important is the system, the institution must be strong enough to be able to withstand political turmoil or political influences. I believe by definition they should be independent. I mean, especially education, educational institutes or institutes of education, they have to be independent. I wouldn't go to the extent saying from politics, because then you will say you have to be independent from everything, from politics and businesses and things like that. But you have to have a strong, institution. I like to share something that I learned. When I was a deputy minister, this was, I think, 2009, I bumped into 3 former KSN. They were having breakfast, and I somehow bumped into them, and then we had a good chit-chat. One of the things that he said, which I thought was very, very meaningful to me, he said something like, there must be a clear line between politics and civil servant. That you understand each other's role. You cooperate, you work together, you complement, but you know exactly where the line is. Yeah. When the minister comes to the ministry, he's no longer a politician. He's an executive
Civil servant.
Yeah. And this is the best part. The KSU must be a person who is able to, behind closed doors, on a one-on-one basis, say no to the minister if the minister is wrong. How many KSUs can do that today? And how many minister will be able to listen to the KSU who come and tell him or her, sir, I think this is wrong, you shouldn't do it. Of course, you don't expect the KSU to do that in the post-cabinet meeting. So the 3 KSN were saying, we'll politely go and see the minister on a one-on-one basis and say, no, sir, this is not the way to do it.
But would that be make the minister's life a bit difficult to enact the changes or the policy reforms he wants to?
Well, first of all, the minister have to be policy-oriented so that he or she will understand that this is the thing that needs to be done regardless of which party you come from. Because the moment you are a minister, you no longer represent your party.
You represent the people.
You represent the ministry, the government. Yeah.
I want to get your view on Dato Sri because we've seen a lot of interesting debates happening in Parliament now. It's quite interesting. Of course, there's a lot of shouting matches recently, which is also entertaining. What is your overall view of the RMK 13?
Well, the theme is Malakar something. It's like, but I don't really see what it is. Yeah, except maybe in education. The 2 things, which is mandatory preschool and you start primary school at year 6. I thought that's very, very significant. Yeah. In other sectors, unfortunately I don't see real wow factor.
Do you think that this RMK 13 is moving towards a more multicultural approach? Blanket policies? Well,
there is this talk about, I didn't hear PMX saying it clearly, but there are these discussions saying that he is trying to move away from race-based policies toward needs-based policies and things like that. Well, I have been saying the same thing like for ages. But again, this is something that is easily said than done, and depending on how you do it. See, the problem with RMK 13 is that there are many numbers that are not presented. Yeah?
Such as?
Say, for instance, I give you an example. How many students, university students, graduates in the old school professional disciplines, engineer, architect, law, and things like that? And how many complete the last mile? You can be a graduate in accounting, but you're not a certified accountant. You can be a graduate in engineering, but you cannot carry the title IR. Things like that. I'm not saying everybody must be IR, everybody must be, a chartered accountant. No, but we need to have, again, you have to come up with the unjuran lah. How many people do you really need in certain sectors? And what about new jobs and what about new professions? So those numbers are not there. So some people will then say, oh, you don't even have the comparison between the Malay Bumiputra and the non-Bumi Putra. Fair. If you have the number, you can compare, and comparison doesn't mean you are being a racist. You are simply looking at aggregation of numbers because you want to make sure that no one is left behind.
Yeah.
So the numbers is not the problem. The problem is how you look at the numbers, So some numbers are really not there. I know DOSM has the numbers, but I thought it would be more, it would have been better if the RMK 13 book will have more of these numbers ready-made for policymakers. Yeah.
That's it. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you. I would love to have you back again. We can discuss different things like budgets and
Or basketball.
You'll be talking alone because I don't play basketball. But thank you so much. I mean, it's very interesting to, in this podcast, I always try to give a balanced perspective. And I think your side, maybe it's not heard as much in the way you're talking now. I mean, you just blew my mind. I mean, I like to hear the way you speak about things. I do share a lot of similar things, and well done, Dato Sri. I look forward to more of your proposals and talking to you more about it. I truly enjoyed it. So, guys, that was Dato Sri Saifuddin here. Again, it was not easy. I was very nervous for this interview because of just the man's experience, but we did it. And you always have a seat here, Dato Sri. Please come back whenever you can. Whenever you're in KL, please drop by and we'll have more interesting chats. So, guys, if you guys had any thoughts, any opinions, please share them. Please like and share these videos. And we have more great politicians coming your way, more authors as well to discuss politics. And we'll see you all soon. Have a good night. Have a great weekend. Take care. Bye.